Hello and welcome back.
What's good, everybody? You are tuned in to episode 26 of the Grain of Salt Show. As we are doing our monthly releases, I think we're kind of finding our rhythm. I'm sitting here with my boy Danger.
Hello.
And my boy Gator Got You.
We here.
How you guys feeling today, man?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
I'm not feeling terrible.
Sunday morning.
Yeah, we're early Sunday morning recording. My boy Danger just got up.
Good morning.
We hitting him real early today.
Good morning.
So yeah, man. I mean, how you guys feeling about life in general right now, man? What do you guys think, man?
Felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Felt pretty good for the most part.
Feeling in a good position right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep hustling, you know?
How would you guys say your 21 has been so far?
You know, hectic. That's the one word I could use.
Why?
You know, just the fact of being an essential worker, quote unquote, through this entire process, and then seeing everybody who's been off for whatever 8-9 months due to obvious reasons, and they come back to work, or they don't even come back to work because they're still making money off of other avenues. I don't know. It's just been very interesting. I feel like people's work ethic and the will to want to work hard is going down, and it's not their fault, but it's just due to a couple weird, for obvious reasons, it's just they haven't been doing anything for a few months, so it's like
the job market has completely changed.
Yeah, totally. And we're having trouble finding people to hire.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
I see a lot of that.
Everybody's having trouble right now.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that, man. Like when I'm, picking up deliveries and shit, I'm dealing with food service people and you can tell, they're getting slammed and you could just tell they're understaffed. Because they're just, shit's coming out slow. They got new people back there. You could tell they're kind of learning still. And you're like, damn, man, you feel bad, but.
Oh, yeah.
Food service industry is also, especially right now, are relying a lot on, like you were saying, like brand new hires who have no experience or are young, teenagers, maybe even still in high school, and some areas. It's crazy, dude, because all the people who have experience in that industry were making more money at home, getting unemployment, and so now none of them are like, now that their unemployment is expiring, like they're being forced to not get that anymore. Yeah. Now they're just trying to find other jobs. Higher paying jobs. They don't have to do as much or deal with people like that.
Leaving the industry and whatever they worked in is definitely trending right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Times are crazy. We're getting through this year though, man. I mean, this shit has flown by.
Yeah,
Can't believe we're already about to be in August. But I guess with that being said, we can kind of get into more of what we usually do here on the pod, which is just pretty much talk about music.
Oh yeah.
The first thing I would like to talk about this week is, obviously as I've been mentioning, working on this R&B album. It's coming along, man. Every month there's a new progression, and it gets closer and closer to being, I think, pretty much finished. We recently had a pretty intense recording session where you guys were helping me with some background vocals. Would you guys be open to sharing how that experience was that day?
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's always super solid to do some background vocals. This was kind of I'd say our first time doing background vocals for you, I think.
Seriously,
and,
like where we planned on it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought it went well. It was consistent. Kind of just seamless the entire time, you know what I mean? Yeah. You knew what we wanted to do, or you knew what you wanted us to do. And I feel like the execution was there, and yeah, it was cool, man.
Very cool. It was just fun.
Oh yeah,
it was just fun,
good vibes.
Yeah, I mean, it took especially our music in particular, took it back to like the core, the vibes that we have when we're making music. It was just fun. It was exciting. We were all interested in it. None of us were bored about it, It
wasn't stressful at all.
No, and it's just like, number one, we all get together, we get to hang out. That's one thing that's cool. And then we're making music. That's two. And then it seems at least to be coming almost effortlessly. Not effortlessly, but it's flowing. You know what I mean? The vibes are flowing. I had a good time. Also, you know, on the more serious music side of it, it's a good way for you asking me and Ian to do that. It was a good way for me and Ian to practice singing rather than anything else that we normally are comfortable doing.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that was kind of the big thing that I was going for. Was I kind of wanted to pull you guys out of your normal producing, you know, touching instruments zone, and I wanted you guys to contribute just something different to my project, because you guys produce the whole thing, you know. It's whether it's Ian's beats or you on the guitar or the bass or just, you know, hitting me with some extra keys. Like, I was listening to the album and I was like, man, this is cool, but I just need some more structure. I need different texture in the vocals, you know, because I'm doing a lot with the vocals, but it's still just one person, and you can kind of tell, you know.
Definitely.
So I just wanted a little bit more depth in just you guys beefed it up, man. You guys really beefed it up, you know. When I took my first listen through, and I was like, man, this is really good, because it's you guys held those lower registers that I needed you to, and what I really needed out of you guys were those lower registers to kind of like become a bed for my higher octaves and shit, you know, because I do a lot of falsettos and a lot of, you know, higher ranges, and I have trouble with the lower ranges, you know, like that's so I knew you guys could help me out with that, man. And when I just took my listen backs and you know, I was mostly emphasizing the hooks, you know. I wanted you guys to come in with the hooks, and I wanted you guys to just beef them up and just make them sound strong, you know, and it sounds really, really good, man. So thank you guys for helping me contribute to that, man. It was a cool session, you know. I pretty much just played recording engineer the whole day. I was just like, this is what I need you to do, and you guys fucking executed. So,
but it was cool though. I mean, it was fun, and it wasn't like okay, stand there and spit this verse,
right,
try to get it in one take, and we're gonna try it until you get it type. Like, that's exhausting, you know. It was hooks, it was oohs and ahs, and just more. You were asking a lot of us, you know, but it was fun to be able to just kind of sit there and like put a little here, put a little there, onto the next one. Yeah. It was fun.
It's a refreshing experience.
I had a good time that day. Like, all work aside, I had a great time.
Yeah, it was a good day, man. I definitely, cause, you know, we all live busy lives, man, and I know it's hard to get us all locked in for one day for a set amount of time. So I just wanted to make that day to be like as seamless as possible, you know. I wanted to run that day like you know, I'm not saying I'm this person, but like kind of like a Quincy Jones would sit back and he would just direct shit in a recording session, you know. Like, you know, this instrument, you know, you play this bass part, you know, you play this guitar part, you know, Michael, you sing this background part, you know, and that's kind of just what I wanted to lock into, and just because this is still my baby, you know, this is still my painting, and what I had you guys doing basically was just kind of doing some highlights and doing some outlines, you know.
Definitely.
And that shit, man, it sounds great, man. It made me rethink everything as far as the background vocals, and I'm really, really excited to get into the nitty gritty of mixing it, because it's gonna be an adventure to mix it. And now that I gotta, you know, because we've been doing all of our work on Ableton for so long, and recording and mixing and mastering in Ableton. So now that I bought Pro Tools, man, it's gonna be like a new toy box. It's just opened up, you know, and so there's gonna be a lot to learn, a lot to go through with that, man. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to go through. I nerd out about this shit, dude. Like,
that is exciting, dude. It's exciting.
It's a really complicated toy box.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, man, part of this whole movement, bro, the YouTube channel and the podcast and just putting myself on this schedule, I'm just trying to treat this whole music thing the way that I feel I need to be treating it, you know, like this. What I've discovered these past few months, because I started this in March, I believe, or April, one of the two. What I've discovered throughout this process is like just how much I wasn't doing, you know, and I was doing a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I've always made it a point to do a lot, and just because I know I've been doing this for so long that I know that you can't just make music, put it out, and expect somebody to fucking stumble upon it and just that you're a fucking sensation overnight. Like that's not how this shit works. You know, you have to put in your 10,000 hours and then some. You know, so the way that I've been treating these past few months, man, I've been really treating it like a job. Every day I have something to do to further this shit, to do something to just get me a little further up the pegs, you know? And it just opened my eyes to like, damn, bro, like you weren't doing shit, you know? And I still have a lot more to do, you know? So I'm enjoying this whole process, bro. I feel like I'm really, really finding who I am as an artist and as not just an artist, but just the work ethic that it takes, man. Like
I'm kicking ass.
I'm focused now. I'm laser focused right now.
That's a fact.
Man. So yeah, I mean, just to back, how do you say like
Backtrack?
Backpedal.
Piggyback off of
okay.
off of the background vocal
I don't
session.
think any of us were wrong.
Yeah, I think we're just using different terminology. But to piggyback off of that, man, and just kind of get more into the album, you know, I've been giving little details here and there. Like I've been talking about how it's 80s inspired and how I'm inspired by so many early to mid 80s artists and songwriters and producers. It's been a journey, man, just kind of because throughout the making of this album I've been listening to just so much old school music and not just listening to it, but listening to the songwriting and the structures and the background vocals and just how they produce and mixed everything and what sound effects they were using, and it's just kind of opening my eyes to what I could turn this into.
Definitely.
And so every day I'm pretty much just analyzing what I could do to make it better. What can I add? What can I take away? And I just at some point I gotta stop and just be like, okay, this is it, you know, because it's been so long and the project isn't long, it's a short project. So there's only so much I can actually do to it. But since we last recorded, I added some interludes. You know, I found some beats to just kind of make some good transitions. I recorded 3 of them. I think I'm gonna take one of them off because it's just a little too much. It's just too much. You know? It might come out later on, but just for the project right now, I added 2 interludes officially, so that makes it 8 tracks. So now I can finally have like a proper A and B side, you know. And I think the way that I have it sequenced, it sounds really good, man.
Nice.
I'm excited about hearing the culmination of it, you know, with these new interludes, because I feel like it gives it just a nice little transition.
Definitely.
And just, you know, instead of just hitting them over the head with just song after song.
Yeah.
Right.
Let them breathe for a sec.
Yeah, man. I think I found something cool with that. Stumbled across something really cool with those interludes, which you guys did a couple. You know, helped out with a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty cool, man. So as far as the album goes, don't hold me to anything, but I want to try to get the first single out first week of August.
Okay.
And I think it's time. You know, I have a date. I have the whole rollout already planned out. So it's just about executing it, putting my plan into motion. You know, paying for what I need to pay. We actually filmed one video already. Danger was with me for that. What would you give your accounts of what transpired that day?
Okay.
It wasn't a complicated video shoot.
Well, it was still fun for me. We got to load up in the car to get some moving shots out here in colorful Colorado. Got some beautiful scenery out here to take advantage of that's really not hard to come across. Yeah. And we don't even got to drive that far away from where we live either, or that long, you know what I mean? And that's fun for me because I get to drive my car. But and we have these new gizmos and gadgets, and these cameras. You know, we're getting older. We've invested more money into higher quality things, not just our music, but the GoPro that we use to film some of the shots that we're gonna be using for that video, I think are really gonna stand out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Try not to give away too many details.
No,
but
man, it's cool. You know, I really just wanted to capture some scenery. Edit point.
Yes. It's crazy that we're like 10 minutes away from Red Rocks, people travel thousands of miles and spend thousands of dollars to get a glimpse of this venue and watch their favorite artist or whoever.
Yeah. And we could be there like...
And we could just drive there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It could be like a daily thing.
Which 10-minute drive in Denver is actually super fast. I mean,
It is.
typically, like, if you're driving anywhere in Denver, on a reasonable commute, it's like 20, 22 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So 10 minutes is crazy. It's funny that you say that, though, because Red Rock specifically was something that we were trying to avoid.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm talking that whole front mountain range.
Oh, yeah, of
basically.
course. Yeah.
The whole front range.
And the only reason I was avoiding Red Rocks is because it's just so famous and it's so, it's so worldly known. And,
Yeah.
And you'll probably be in somebody else's video, shooting your own video.
Well, definitely.
And not just that, but I see a lot of Colorado artists, they have it in their videos and in their album covers and stuff like that. And you know me, man, I always want to be different. I always want to do different things and just... So there's much more beautiful scenery in Colorado and just around here that's surrounding Red Rocks that I was like, I
Definitely.
got some good footage. And as I took some looks back at the clips, man, they look fucking good. So,
Insane, huh? That thing is insane.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't gotten to see him.
yeah, I mean, that was just that day, but
So a really cool thing about that camera is the stability.
Right.
So you can be wobbling that thing,
yeah,
and it just keeps
stays.
it.
And
It's
that was the thing,
incredible.
dude, is I had it hanging out of the fucking window, and
Yeah.
we're going like 60, 65, and
In my car.
I'm fucking scared, bro. I'm like, I don't want to fuck this camera up because it's a nice camera. This is your camera, So I'm holding it like a fucking sniper or some shit, just making sure it doesn't fall. And I thought it was gonna be like, the wind just blowing it all over the place, but it was fucking nice, bro. And just the angles and even the way that I was shooting it and like moving the camera, it looked nice, man. It looked really nice. So that's gonna be a video that comes out way later down the line, but I'm just trying to load the clip right now.
Yeah.
Load the clip so that when I do roll this album out, it all looks orchestrated and organized.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So with that being said, we're still doing some more videos. We got a video planned for this week, and I got all the treatments ready and stuff like that. So I'm just excited, man. I'm excited to get into the nitty gritty of this album and present it the way I think it deserves to be presented. I'm most likely I'm taking a trip to New York City to go visit our boy Toe Tags and promote the album. Gonna have some promotion shit going on, and I'm gonna book a podcast studio.
Nice.
I got some plans, man. I got some major plans for this album, man.
Let me know those dates, man.
For sure, man. For sure. You already know. Okay, so talked about the album again. Been going hard with it, and everything. As far as my monthly releases go, from here on out until the album comes out, they're gonna be centered around the album. So, being that the album is very heavily influenced by the 80s, me, man, I've been writing a lot of music, been writing a lot, just doing a lot of shit. And so I decided that I was gonna put together a little mixtape for a Bandcamp exclusive next month, and decided to pick about 5 of my favorite 80s hip-hop tracks and just go over the instrumentals, man. Just get some bars off. I started writing this maybe like a month ago, and now that it's been recorded, it's probably done recorded. You guys have heard some drafts. This is coming out Friday, August 6th. What do you guys think about the tape so far from what you've heard?
It's heat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's a really nice balance, a nice combination, because I think something that, at least in the past few years of the 5D development, especially, it's definitely something that Ian and I have touched on a lot in the producing aspect of our music, is originality. And that's something that we really strive for, and we really try hard to make sounds that are, genuine from us and not something. I'm not talking about sampling here either. It's like we try really hard to do that and make that a point, but it's nice to take a step back and take some of the nice beats, some of our favorite old school beats from a favorite artist, whatever, and put your own ideas, your own words on top of that is a special type of technique that when you do it just right, it's an amazing outcome, you know. And I think you personified that perfectly in this too, because you got bars for sure. And I've always been a fan of your hip hop side of music, because that's how I was introduced to you, you know. And I love this R&B and the singing stuff. I'm all about it, but it's so refreshing to my ears as one of your listeners as well. It's always refreshing to hear you come in with fucking bars on these beats too. And like Ian said, it heat.
Yeah,
it's heat for sure.
So one thing that I really like about any artist getting on well-known beats or just well-known hip-hop beats, one thing that I really like about it is the fact that you can compare like your mix and your vocal mix to the original or something like that, which in the long run really helps your vocal mixing, helps you kind of like step outside the box a little bit and be like, what does this guy's voice sound like over this beat? How loud is it? Stuff like that. So that's always good to just hop on beats and record over them and then try and mix them into it, even though it's not like 100% proper, but just throwing vocals over it and trying to mix and get that vocal to sit where the original is just cool. Like it's good for the ears. It's good training.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think about that. You know, it's a pretty good perspective to look at it, because, you know, the way I looked at it, man, I just wanted to spit some bars, get some raps off. You know, there's no hooks, there's no deep conceptual songwriting. I just want to spit some bars. I get that urge from time to time to just rap, especially when I've been going so hard with this R&B shit and just like dedicating all of my time to it and just getting better and better vocally. You know, it leaves that void of I just want to rap.
Yeah.
And I basically treated this like the first one, you know, when I was making Going the Wrong Way, you know, I also made the mixtape Impulse, right, where I just spit a bunch of bars over Mad Lib beats that I just, you know, some of my favorites. And that's just kind of how I treated this. Tried to just get into that zone and use a different vocal mix to make it sound just more rapidy rap. You know, I think sometimes people, well, especially like in the 90s, like late 80s and 90s, people were cool with like shitty mixes because they were just like, it's hip hop, you know?
Yeah.
It's hip hop, just leave it, you know?
Yeah, it's what it's supposed to
It's supposed to be dirty, it's supposed to be grimy, you know? And so I guess that's kind of what I was going for here. But it's cool, man. I had a lot of fun. Just and so after I was making this tape and I hadn't come up with the title yet, but I just figured since it has so many similarities to the first Impulse and you know, it's gonna be a Bandcamp exclusive and I'm using kind of the same vocal mix and it's a mixtape over other people's beats, I'm just gonna make Impulse a mixtape series now. And this one is gonna be called I Love the 80s. Impulse, I Love the 80s, you know, and I think it's a cool direction.
Yeah. It's dope.
Excuse me.
I bought a whole like b-boy outfit that I'm gonna do for the cover. So it's gonna be like
dude.
it's gonna be, I'm going all out for it,
Nice.
you know, and I'm just going all out for this whole rollout of this album, man. Like I'm tired of just putting music out and letting it just fall into the abyss, you know. I'm trying to put legs on my music and build anticipation for before it comes out and keep the replay value for after it comes out and just do as much as I can, man, to just beef this thing up, man. Just inject it with steroids, you know what I mean? And I think I'm on the right track, man. This mixtape is pretty cool. I can't wait for it to come out. I contemplated getting a DJ to mix it all together, but I think it's just too short notice. And there's DJ cuts in the song, in the beats that I'm doing. So I feel like that's enough. But it's cool, man. It's cool.
Real cool.
I'm excited about it. I've just been having fun doing all this writing stuff, man, and working on all this new music. It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also like you can't not grow,
Right.
especially you specifically through this whole process. You've been putting in just tons of work, you know. And every project you do, it doesn't matter if it's R&B or hip hop or rock and roll or whatever. You get better and you progress. You learn things. You get techniques. You put certain things down. How many rap songs of yours have I heard before? And these are on classic beats that you enjoy, but you can't help but notice the progression still in the lyricism and all that. It's just fun. This whole year, from your end to my ears, it's just been exciting to watch and listen to.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it for sure, and not stopping anytime soon, man. I just because I've been doing so much lately that when I have nothing to do, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. So I start going through my Rolodex of what I can do, and this past week I started writing some new songs for the next Deuces Wild, and got some demos recorded, sent them over to Tone, man, and spoke with Tone yesterday, and he was really, really excited for what I sent over to him. I got about 3 new tracks that I just kind of made out of boredom and
Nice.
recorded, sent to him, and he's super excited, man. He's just it exuded over the phone,
Yeah.
He was telling me, he was just kind of like, he said it was perfect timing because he sent us a demo of something that he recently recorded, and it was really good.
Really good, man.
Like amazing.
It was recorded pretty well too.
That's what I said. The
Yeah.
sound
Kinda
quality,
surprised.
the sound quality of that. I told him, I was like, dude, this. He's like, it's just raw, man. There's nothing. I was like, for it being raw, it doesn't sound too
Sounds
far
good,
off
man.
from where it should be. Like,
he's really hard on himself. So
It would be an
He
easy
thinks-
mix.
he thinks that he's not like up to par with
Right.
where he should be at. When in reality, like, he's ahead of where he thinks he is. I think.
That's for sure.
yeah, and
I thought it was great.
And not just that, man, but he's capable of anything, man. And give him some time and he'll learn it. And so that was something else that he mentioned to me, that he wants to start cracking down on getting to know how to mix shit and get it to sound a little more proper. I was like, man, it's honestly kind of easy. You just
Yeah.
have to know what everything does.
Yeah.
And it takes time and practice too. Like if you guys go up there to New York and actually like lay some songs down, like you may get more opportunities to try that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Anything that he thinks about doing.
Well, that's 90% of learning Ableton is like you're not just gonna hop on something and be really good at it. Especially Ableton, you have to know what everything does in order to manipulate the software properly.
Yeah, I would definitely say that is true. But yeah, man, looking forward to what comes from that. Deuces Wild is always something that it's always exciting and fun working on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just me and Tone have such great chemistry, and we feed off of each other so well. So I'm excited, man, to see what comes next. Speaking of Tone, man, he's been working on a project. Well, he came, visited. He moved up to New York. It was like November of 19, I believe. Pandemic hit like as soon as he moved out there.
Yeah, like 3 months later.
Yeah, and then so he was itching to. He wasn't working.
Yeah, and that was New York City,
Yeah.
which was like ground zero at the time for the
Yes.
pandemic. So they
Yes.
shut everything down.
Wasn't working. It's going crazy. So he came and visited here in Denver. He was here for like 3 months,
Something like that. 2.5
He was here for a minute.
And he recorded a lot of music, enough music for 3 projects. The Long Days, Cold Night, which came out last year. Deuces Wild 2, which came out last year. And his newest project, which I don't want to give too much details about his newest project because, it's his thing. But he's coming out with a project pretty soon. And it's been, about a year in the making now. And just to kind of give us a little more depth with 5D, instead of just me giving you guys everything that I'm working on, I want to ask you, Gator, in particularly, because you're the engineer, you're the mix and mastering dude, and you've been mixing this album and mastering this album for a long time. So tell me about what particularly has been challenging for you, and what do you think you're learning through this process?
I feel like mixing albums is challenging in general. Like no matter whose album it is, right?
Yeah.
And artists are usually nitpicky, which is a good thing. So you may go through 5 different drafts of mix and masters before the artist is like, okay,
this is the one.
that's the album ready version. And this one has been no different for sure. Like you said, we've been working on it for over a year, so I've been hearing these songs in rotation for easily over a year.
Yeah.
And it's good and bad. I'm a strong believer in kind of just like executing something, being confident in the execution, and being done with it, you know what I mean? But like I said, it's all up to the artist at that point, because it's not my body of work. It can be sometimes, but it's his album. You know what I mean? That's the way I kind of feel about it. Like, I could do what I want, but that's not gonna please the artist that is putting their music out. So I feel like that's really important to me, is just catering to what he was hearing, songs that may have been too long, and just skits in general, like putting the skit on, listening to it in kind of an album mentality, and realizing maybe that skit is too long, or maybe it's just not the right vibe for what he wants. So mix and master it, send it to him, doesn't like it, basically just remaster it, you know what I mean? So that's just the process of it, but I feel like I'm learning every single time I do this. We're using Ozone 9 right now too, which is huge. It's helping us a ton as far as getting our music up to an industry standard volume without ruining the quality of the song, which has helped a ton. But it all goes into the mix. If you don't have a good mix, you're gonna have a shit master.
Yeah,
so
that's where it starts.
Yep, that's what you want. You gotta have a well-rounded mix, and then brighten it, make it beautiful.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, what do you think is the main difference between mixing, like, let's say mixing an R&B album and mixing like a rap album from Tone? You know?
It's just all the energy. I feel like I kind of let the song guide me. It's not really me like, I want to change this immediately. It's really just the vibe, the vibe that I want. Because maybe on an R&B project, maybe smooth the vocals out a little bit. On a hip hop, you can leave it nice and grungy and just not raw, but definitely like leave it punchy. You want him to stand out, you know what I mean? But it's all levels too. It's all levels and layering and panning. And background vocals are a huge help for R&B projects, which you are very good at, doing 10 stacks and stuff. So I feel like it just all depends on the song. I feel like that's a good mentality to have as someone who mixes music. You kind of just have to, if someone's like, hey, mix this song for me, you can't do what you want. You have to just really, really go with a non-biased, open ears opinion and be like, what does this song need? Not what do I want to do to this song, you know?
Yeah. Especially as somebody who mix and masters for so many different artists, and so many different styles of artists. You have Isaac, the king of everything over here, you know, who will give you every type of song that you can experiment mastering on, except the heavy metal, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then you get Tone, who gives you like the hardest hip hop, like just filthy, nasty stuff.
He's big on his S's.
Yeah,
and T's and V's.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you said that perfectly. It's just like kind of play it to the artist and see what the song
Yeah.
Not necessarily what can I add to the song to make it better, but like what does this song need to sound round and whole?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, just as an example, say I had the opposite mindset, was like I mixed the song the way I want. You could just have a default mix and just drag it into the vocals and then drag it into the beat, whatever, and then you're like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like that's not how mixing works.
Nah, it's funny. It's a crazy process, man. It's a process that I never really hadn't really dabbled in until I moved up here, you know, and I kind of like had to, because, you know, I had so much that I wanted to do and I didn't want to burden anybody else with what I wanted to do, so I just tried to learn what I could, man, and just keep, and I'm still learning, man. I just
So is he?
So am I.
yeah, exactly. We're learning together, and
Yeah.
now it's better because now we have two pairs of ears to be like, yo, this is what we can do, and just bounce off of each other now.
Yep.
And it's funny that we're talking about this because I've been reading this book. It's about the making of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, right? And whenever I'm making a serious album, I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but whenever I'm making a serious album, whether it be R&B or rap, there's a handful of albums that I study. Like, I study everything about them. And that's Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, Dark Side of the Moon, Rock Marcy's Reloaded, you know, Good Kid, Mad City. Like, there's a handful of albums that I just fucking study because this is what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
And so I was reading this book, and it's done by the engineer, by he oversaw all of the mixing and recording and mastering, basically. So he's like, it's just real music nerd shit. He's just talking about how they're recording shit and what they're putting on it and what they're adding to it and doing demos and fucking just adding layers and just little, you know, guitar things and little, you know, keyboard atmospheric shit that just beef it up, you know, it sounds fucking so much bigger. And after I read that, I went back and listened with a different ear, like, okay, let me hear what he was talking about. And it just gave me it like opened up my world to mixing possibilities now, because this is also not rap and this is not R&B either. Like, this is folky classic rock shit, you know? So when I'm listening to that, I'm taking all that into consideration and listening to how they're doing the harmonies and listening to the guitar parts and just little details, and I'm just like, man, like this is what I'm trying to do, you know?
Right.
And look, I'm not saying I'm there, because that's one of the, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, man, this is some of the greatest music ever fucking recorded, you know? and it's like, I can only aspire to do something like that, and the mixing and mastering process is a part of that. It's such a big part of that.
It is.
And I'm realizing that now, because even especially the other day, I was listening back to some of my old tracks from my old group, and you know, this is like 10 years ago. You know, I'm listening to how we were mixing and just how I was rapping, and it was like there's just times I was like, man, it's fucking terrible, you know? But then there's flashes where I'm like, oh, like that was what I was gonna do later on, you know? And just listening to that shit, and dude, I was like 16, bro, you know, recording this music, and I was just thinking, man, I was like, damn, I've come such a long way from not just skill and that shit, but just sound quality and even just recording, bro. Like, I've been recording for over 10 years now, so it's like, I know what I want to do. I know the tips and tricks now, and little, even with just R&B shit, working on this R&B album, I finally learned how to harmonize. Like, I didn't know what I was doing on Going the Wrong Way.
Right.
I was just like, I want to make some R&B songs, and that's just what happened, you know?
Yeah.
And during the process of this album, I kind of stumbled into like, oh, like this is how you fucking harmonize, and I figured it out, and I was like, oh shit, like yes, this is it, and I feel like I got it. I just feel like I finally tapped into that shit, man, and I'm so proud of all the work I've done this year, man.
You should be, man.
A lot of progress,
on it.
and only more to go, man.
You're chipping away at a sculpture.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's how I feel, man.
Your hammer's moving pretty
I
fast.
feel like this is gonna pay off, man.
Really quick, since you were talking about Fleetwood Mac, I just feel I have to throw a fun fact in there. My dad was like a groupie for Fleetwood Mac and followed them around the West Coast on tour.
Really?
Straight up, dude. He would follow him with a few of his friends, I will have to touch back and figure out like which tour they were doing
Yeah.
for which album or whatever. But my dad was a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, and I was just down in Cruces a few weeks ago, and my sister was down in town for the 4th of July, and she was talking about how one of her coworkers asked her one time, a long time ago, about their greatest concerts they ever been to.
Okay.
So we were talking about that, and of course, like through the conversation, it translated into my dad.
Yeah.
I started asking my dad some of the greatest concerts that he's ever seen, and my dad was born in '56,
Okay.
which means he was growing up in the '70s and
the
going to
gold-
college
yeah,
and shit.
the golden.
That was the time.
And Fleetwood Mac was on that list of some of the
They're
greatest
huge.
concerts he had ever been to. But he was a huge fan. Like he was like a groupie. He followed him around and like slept outside
That's what's up,
in the
man.
cars with a couple of
That's
his
what that
buddies
time
and
was
stuff.
about.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just cool. It's just cool that if you have your parents or your grandparents out there and they like music, or if you were influenced by them, go ask them about it. You know, like you'd be amazed with like what your parents the details they can give you about the music that was just out and around when they were our age and stuff.
Definitely.
That was a good time. Sorry, I just
No,
wanted
dude,
to add those 2 cents.
That's beautiful, man. 'cause-
That's hilarious.
yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome, man, because that's that shit that's shit that influences us that we don't
For
know
sure.
influences us, but
For
it
sure.
does.
Oh yeah, well, that's a nice little segue. Again, just on that rabbit hole, like my dad was a huge influence with my music growing up,
Yeah.
just with what he was listening to in the car. If he picked me up from school, I was forced to listen to what he was listening to. Thank God for me, my dad had a great taste in classic music. The Beatles, I know everybody loves the Beatles, that's a very common band, but what I wanted to touch on with the Beatles was, and their golden age was in the 60s, their heyday, right? The Beatles were arguably pioneers in experimental recording.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know I was reading this book about the Beatles recording process on one particular album or songs. I forget who it was. I think it was John Lennon. They tied John Lennon up horizontally. You buy a bunch of like ropes and harnesses to like a single point in the ceiling, and they spun him around and had a mic in one stationary spot,
Spun him around.
and he would be singing, and the outcome of the sound was
He's spinning.
and that was like they did a couple of those layers for their background vocals. It's just like, who's gonna, like, what kind of ingenuity do you have to have in the studio to be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna harness me up to the ceiling. I want you to spin me around and then hit record. It's just, but you listen to their music and you hear the outcome and you see their success that came from that, and you can't deny it. It's just crazy. It's crazy the possibilities. Like Pandora's box that you can open up in creativity for recording albums, and with how much great music has come back out in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
You can always come up with something new and unique, with formulas that people set down before us and stuff, and it's just crazy. It's so awesome to like watch you grow too, and all the different techniques and things that we're learning.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Music has no boundaries, man.
Yeah.
There's no rules. Can't break any rules.
Yeah. And I feel like we're all growing together, so that's part of why this feels so good, because I'm not alone just doing this shit. I can take what I learn and I can show you guys, and then open up a whole other box of opportunities. So it's cool, man. It's cool.
It's crazy that you say that, Andy. So my dad grew up in Spokane, Washington, and his favorite band was Rush. And he would go on a ferry or take a car into Canada and go see them live all the fucking time. And that was a huge band when I was growing up. Like, listening to Rush nonstop. Like Neil Peart, fucking...
Dude, Neil Peart was
Peart.
one of Tone's biggest influences, because Tone's, anybody who doesn't know, Tone's an amazing drummer. Neil Peart.
He's got PhD in percussion.
I remember, well, rest in peace, dude.
Oh yeah,
I
To
didn't
Neil
know that.
Peart,
he's
dude.
a legend.
Yeah. What's the singer, the bass player's name, who plays the piano with his
Geddy
toes?
Lee?
Yeah.
Geddy, I think it's Geddy Lee.
Yeah,
something
he'd be
like that.
singing, ripping the bass line, playing piano with his feet.
Nope. And singing.
Yeah, all at the same time. It's
That's wild.
crazy. What Spirit of Radio was one of the first songs that I ever started learning with Anthony and my boy Philip De Leon. Shout out Phil. Spirit of Radio, jamming in Anthony's living room on the guitars and stuff when I was younger.
That's awesome.
Nah, love Rush.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
man.
cool.
That's wild.
That is cool. Well, since we're telling stories like that, I got one. And my grandpa. So my grandpa, I think he lived in Frisco in like the 60s, you know, real hippie heyday. And he said one night he was just like bar hopping with his homies, and they go into this real hole in the wall, smoky place, like just a bunch of fucking hippies, right? Walk in, you know, they're getting drinks and shit, and then they hear this girl singing, you know, and my grandpa's just like, oh, like, what is this, you know? And walks around, checks it out, and he's just, you know, just some girl in the corner just singing, you know. Years later, that turned out to be Janis Joplin. I was like,
Damn.
that shit was crazy, bro. Like, that was one of the craziest stories that my grandpa told.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Just bar hopping in San Francisco and come across Janis Joplin.
That's nuts.
Before
dude.
she was, you know, huge.
Right.
That was pretty cool, man.
Wild.
That's pretty cool shit. All right, well, you guys know it's about time. That time of the week, man, or that time of the month, I guess. New music review, man. You guys know how I do it, man.
Oh, yeah.
There's always so much music that drops nowadays, and I try to do my best to document it, and not just to document it, but to listen to shit and analyze shit and see really how this is affected or see how it's influenced by other music, right? So, because I think all this shit is tied together, man. It's why I'm such an advocate for new music, because I feel like all this new shit is tied to the history. It's tied to, you know, you can draw the direct line from Lil Baby to Wayne, you know, to
Definitely.
the rappers of the pioneers, you know. Like, I think that shit is important to history. And I get salty when I hear people say, you know, like, music is whack these days, or no, I see it on Twitter all the time, man. These older cats that, you know, look at our shit and just look down on it and just, you know, trash it basically. And it's like I get it. That's what older people are supposed to do. They're not supposed to get our music. It's how their parents were, and so on and so forth, you know. But I just get really irritated when I see them dismiss this era, because it's like, yeah, I understand. There's a lot happening. It is saturated, but there's beautiful shit going on, man. And there's beautiful music that's going to be remembered 50 years from now, you know. And I want to make sure that I'm part of that. Like, you know, if I'm in my 50s and 60s, I want motherfuckers, when they're making a documentary or writing a book or something, to call me up and be like, yo, like, give us your perspective of what was going down and what happened, you know. And I'm not saying my you know, my perspective is the end all be all. I just want to make sure that my perspective is encompassing of a whole community and section and percentage of people to represent what this time was, you know. Because if I just let these people document what's going on right now, then they're just gonna say that this whole segment of music history was trash, and I'm not gonna stand for that, you know. So sorry to get so deep on that, but that's why that's why I make so much of this new music shit, because this is not just come and go, throw it in the trash, disposable shit. Some of this shit is going to define generations, you know. So getting into it, man. This last month has been pretty busy. You know, I had to write everything down because it's just how I do. The first project I want to talk about, which you guys are kind of a little familiar with because we've dabbled in a little bit of creation of this music, but I want to talk about Snow Allegra's new album, Temporary Highs in the Violet Sky.
Please.
Hate that fucking title, but I love the fucking album, man. She just brings a brand of R&B that is very influenced by traditional stuff, but she's still doing a lot of new stuff. And this album in particular is a lot of her new fans weren't loving it because her past couple albums have been just a different sound, right? They've been a lot more emotional. It's been a lot more kind of more instrumental, you know, picking up instruments, you know, you can hear bass lines and live drums and stuff. And this album is a little more on the synthy electronic side, kind of, not all the way electronic, but they're, you know, drum machines and
Definitely.
and synths and even some samples. Like there's a song on there, On My Mind, which is probably my favorite song on the album, where it just sounds like a Drake song basically, but the way that she approaches it and the way that the background vocals are laid, and James Fauntleroy, one of the most prolific songwriters of this generation, just laces it with background vocals that are just beautiful, man. And God, man, I love the album, man. I love it all. Tyler has 2 songs in there that he produced and rapped on, you know, kind of coming off of that last Call Me If You Get Lost. And even these songs are kind of in that same vein. He's talking about, you know, taking somebody's girl, basically. Fuck, man, I really enjoyed it. I know you've been listening to it, Andy, so what do you think?
Yeah,
man?
so that's been my album. And if anybody's been tuning into the last few shows, because I feel like I've mentioned it every time, you know me, like when I get into an album, like that's the album I'm listening to for a little while, maybe amongst maybe 1 or 2 others. Yeah, but since you put me onto it, like a week ago or whatever, that's been the song that's been playing through my car whenever I'm driving. Yeah. So even when I'm not fully paying attention to it, it's like subliminally like rotating in my head. And I've been loving it, man. I played it in the car with my girlfriend, who has not a closed-minded view of music, but she's got the music that she likes, you know?
Particular taste.
Yeah, and I was putting it in there, and she wasn't like, you know, who is this? Yeah. But I was trying to pick her brain about it too and see what she thought, and she liked it too. I as a new listener to Snow Allegra, really enjoyed the album. As somebody who hasn't been like listened to her for her past projects and stuff like that, I thought it was really good. It was right up my alley for what I've been enjoying as a music listener recently, especially as you've been getting me more on the bandwagon with R&B music. Yeah. And just kind of trying to dissect, you know, how it's made, since we're trying to make our own, you know. Trying to kind of study it, you know, and see, you know, what's done here or how it sounds or what's standing out the most. And, you know, I've really enjoyed it. I've really, really enjoyed some of her music. And I think this is a little outside my character, but I kind of like the synth in it. Like the synth, kind of more electronic R&B kind of feels that she has to it. Some of the editing on the vocals where it's obviously like pitched up or down and stuff like that. That's not something that I am typically drawn to, but I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed it a lot. And then I'm not as savvy with the names of the songs and everything, since I'm driving around and I'm like, oh, I like this one, and I'm not sure exactly which one it is. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it since you put me on. You showed me one song from her album. And I was like, okay, I want to listen to this song a little bit more. And then I was like, okay, downloading the album, and we're going to start it from the beginning. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like you're always, or at least the most consistent person, putting me on to new music. And all it takes is hey, check this song out. Yeah. And then I'm hooked on an album. So thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely, of course. I mean, I just, you know, when I hear good music, man, I want to spread it. I want everybody to hear it, you know. Especially someone like Snow, man. She's been on the ground for a long time.
Beautiful voice.
Absolutely, man. And she did some work with Prince before Prince died. He like recruited her, and she was doing like some background vocals for him, I think, on tour. And she's just had a crazy career, man. You know, she's been signed to Def Jam for a while, and No ID kind of took control of her career and kind of producing her, because like her first album, she had a lot of stuff from like Bad Bad Not Good and stuff like that. Like, and those dudes are like just incredible musicians.
Yeah, they are.
But she's kind of like more, with every album, she's kind of leaned toward more of a mainstream type of sound, you know. And I think she's done it well, man. So I've really enjoyed listening to her projects and watching her progress, and just a fan of hers, man, for sure. So yeah, that day, a lot of shit dropped that day. So the next thing I want to talk about or touch on is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, man. These guys, fucking veterans, bro. These guys they started off in Prince's band The Time in the early 80s. Prince had a very strict rule of no producing for other people, and they were producing for other people. And they got caught, and Prince fired them. And then they went on to be probably the greatest songwriting production duo of all time. You know, they started off with just some real obscure mid 80s acts, and then when they finally got caught up Janet, they pretty much produced 90% of her discography after that, and she went on to become one of the biggest superstars ever. And they dropped their debut album after 40 some years, and because they were the songwriter producing team. Whenever you need a hit, you go into these dudes. And so now they said, you know what, they're gonna establish themselves as artists and do what they've been doing, but under their own umbrella. So incredible vocalists on the album, man. You got Babyface, Mariah Carey, you got Morris Day and The Time on there. Who else? Tony Braxton. Like, just amazing vocalists, amazing production and songwriting. And they're saying this is volume 1, so I think there's gonna be some more to come. And I'm just so happy to see that for them, man, because they're so heralded. They're such veterans. They're such fucking forces. They're such inspirations to me, and specifically this album that I'm working on. Just really happy for them, man. Really good to see it, man. If I ever get to meet them before I pass, that'll be my life. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that shit's cool. If you guys are into R&B shit, check that shit out. Styles P dropped another banger, man. He's been really consistent these past few years, dropping projects every year, rapping his ass off at a veteran level. Can't wait to see the Locked and Dipset versus that's coming on the 3rd. That's gonna be fucking epic. Can't wait for that. New Space Jam soundtrack. Listen, I did not like it, okay? But also, you're holding Space Jam soundtrack to the original Space Jam soundtrack, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it was a fucking classic. Like, it's widely regarded as one of the best soundtracks of all time because there's just bangers on there, and the hottest artists of the 90s were on there, and it was epic, man. So I understand they were trying to do that here, and they got all the new artists on here, and it just, I don't know, I didn't love it, man. And the movie was cool, man. I watched it, just to watch it, and I think a few years, maybe like 5-10 years ago, when I first heard of the concept, man, I was like, because I'm Jordan and Kobe, and I'm just like, I was really in my fuck LeBron mode at this time. But now that I've kind of grown, matured, and kind of warmed up to Bron a little more, and of course coming to the Lakers and winning the title probably helped.
Probably helped a little bit.
It was cool, man. I wasn't mad at it. It's not for fucking 30-year-old men like me, so it's for fucking kids.
Yeah.
Charlotte Day Wilson, man. This I think she's from Canada, if I'm not mistaken. R&B singer from Canada. She put out a new album, and I first heard of her back on Bad Bad Not Good's 2016 project. She just bodied that shit, man. She was also on their Tiny Desk performance. She put out a new album, man, and it's just some of the most beautiful vocals that you could possibly hear, man. Just angelic gospel backgrounds, and I was really surprised to hear that because I hadn't really heard her do that type of stuff, man. And she's really
nice,
really bearing some beautiful vocals, beautiful lyrics. Great album. It's called Alpha. If y'all are into that, check that out.
Doing it now.
Vince Staples. Vince Staples by Vince Staples. That's the new album produced by Kenny Beats that Vince just put out. I like it, man. I like it. I think it slaps. I think Vince is doing Vince on there. I saw a lot of conversation on social media about some people don't think that this sounds like Vince, but I think that's kind of coming from his newer fans because, I've been listening to Vince for a long time, man. From where I saw him perform 2014 on Schoolboy's Oxymoron tour, and let me tell you, man, he was not good. This is him barely starting off, and so to see where he's progressed and just how his music, he every time he's dropped an album, it's gotten better and better. And I fuck with Vince, man. I think there's some bangers on this.
Kenny Beats is just becoming a legend.
Yeah,
he already is.
He's touching everything, man. He's involved with everything right now.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Very influential in all kinds of music.
Yeah, man, it's cool to see. It's cool to see, watch the Cave series and just see how much of a clown he is, and
it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's cool. I really rock with the movement, and everybody's calling his phone now. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see the progression of everybody, man. Pop Smoke new album. I don't know if y'all heard, Pop Smoke new album, but it was pretty much just the industry featuring Pop Smoke. You know, like they got like everybody that could possibly be on this album to be on it, and it just wasn't much Pop Smoke. And I don't know, man. Posthumous albums are always tricky, you know.
Yeah, it's tough.
And especially this being the second one in the calendar year.
Right.
It's like, just give it a break, man, you know. But it's cool, man. It's cool for his family to, you know, to I guess capitalize off of, you know, the passing, and not just the passing, but just his career, who he was, how loved he is.
Get his work out there.
And, you know, at least his family can see the rewards of that. You know, which I think is probably the best thing that I could pull away from that.
Yeah.
Stimulator Jones, man. This dude has been on his grind, man. You know, he dropped his debut project in 2018 on Stone's Throw, R&B, probably one of my favorite projects of 2018. And he's just one of my favorite artists right now, period. Multi-instrumentalist dude. I've been talking about him, I think, on every episode of the podcast so far that we've done. He put out a beat tape, man, on Stone's Throw. It's fucking beautiful. It is just beautiful, man. Very, you know, Dilla Doom Madlib influenced, which is fitting for it to come out on Stone's Throw because that was the label where they, you know, they had all three of them signed within like a 2-year period and put out classic albums like Mad Villainy and Donuts and Champion Sound, and you know, the list goes on and on. Beautiful beat tape, man. Samples are incredible. Drums are fucking slapping. I don't want to call it boom bap because I just feel like that word has evolved. We've gotten so
obscured.
We've got so far away from what boom bap actually is that I don't even want to use the word no more.
I feel like boom bap is like a tempo these days.
Yeah,
it doesn't even matter.
Like
the vibe doesn't even matter anymore. It's
I don't
just
like that, man, because boom bap, it's literally onomatopoeia for what the fucking drums sound like. And if you don't have drums, it's not fucking boom bap, bro.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
you know, for as much as I love all this Griselda Rock Marcy shit, it's not boom bap.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. It is an evolution of traditional hip hop.
Definitely.
But I've seen people try to call it neo boom bap, and let me tell you, I fucking hate that.
It's just like grungy.
Despise that.
Just grungy, simple, slapping beats.
Yeah.
It's like it just like Alchemist is that.
Right. Yeah.
That's Alchemist, man.
Yeah. And I think all of this stems from Rock Marcy, because when Rock Marcy came out, you know, he wasn't doing anything new, but for what was going on at the time period, he changed everything, you know, and that didn't happen quick, you know. By the time Griselda came around, that's when it all culminated into this like movement, basically.
Yeah.
So anyways, man, Stimulator Jones. And what I would also like to say, man, is Stimulator Jones is going to be on the R&B album.
Damn.
He's going to be on it. He's going to be playing some guitar on it.
It's sick.
So yeah,
I am not Stimulator Jones.
I'm just kidding.
If I had the horn right now, I'd be pushing it.
No, it's cool, man. I just you know, I saw an opportunity to get him on the project, and I took it, man. That's where I'm shit right now. I'm gonna take advantage of every opportunity, man. And I also just want to, you know, expand and get as much
That's crazy.
ears
That's
as possible.
crazy awesome.
Well, yeah, man, and that was kind of the idea of when I got Quelle Chris on There's a Lot Going On, you know, which you guys probably aren't too familiar with Quelle, but he's an underground force right now. Like, he has a cult following. He has an amazing discography, and that was kind of just the idea. It's just, he's one of my favorites, so it's like, fucking, if I have an opportunity to work with one of my favorites, why the fuck not?
Definitely.
So that's kind of the idea of getting Stimulator on this project. So
That's cool.
That's pretty cool, man.
Very excited.
Listen, I know Kanye has been making his whatever. I don't know what's going on.
I was about to yell as soon as you were announcing that we were doing that. I was like, Kanye, where's the album, bro?
So I gotta keep it a buck with you guys, man. I don't give a fuck about what Kanye does.
Well,
now.
word on the street is he's still walking around Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, I've heard that he's just pretty much moved in to the stadium.
And he's just trying
on my
to
album.
finish the album.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I don't give a fuck. What anyone, bro. Like, especially coming from my generation of hip hop. You know, I'm College Dropout drops in 04. I'm 10 years old, and at this time I am submerged in hip hop. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know life without hip hop, bro. Like, I'm listening to a lot of Outkast and just whatever, you know, whatever was hot at the time that was good, because there was a lot of shit I hated too. You know, I'm bumping Outkast and G Unit and Jay-Z at this time, and Kanye just came through and he meant everything to us, bro. You know, like, and then just for him to progress with every single album, and then just see what he's turned into, man, it fucking hurts, bro. It hurts as a music fan and somebody who was so influenced by him, bro. Like,
even if you try to give him the benefit of the doubt and try to like meet him halfway, just be like, okay, like let me try to, you know, be open-minded about where you are with your music, and let me try to find some appreciation in it. It's just not been enjoyable.
and
For
see, I was able to do that. I was able to do that for, you know, 808s and Yeezus a little. I still don't love Yeezus, but
There's good
songs on there.
Yeah.
TLOP, I was able to find something that I was like, okay, this is what I like Kanye for. But the past, you know, since 2018, I haven't been able to find that. The projects I did find that in were obviously Daytona, Tiana Taylor's album, and a little bit of Nas's album, that 2018 period where he was putting out all kinds of shit. He was producing everybody's albums. Those are probably the things that I like the most out of that time period. But I think from then to now, Kanye has done so much fuck shit that I'm just like, I've given you enough chances, bro. Like,
he's an influencer now. I feel like he's turned into an influencer slash artist, not an artist.
And the music don't even slap like that no more, bro. Like they're you know, they're putting up previews or clips of the stream that they just did this past weekend, and I'm not feeling none of this shit, bro. Like, it's like, what are you doing, fam? Like, what made you important was that you were an innovator. You came through and changed shit. You know, you came through and did shit that nobody else was doing. And now you're just trying to do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, well, and then he came in with his hot music, you know, and created a fan base based off that music, and gained followers and respect and support based on that music. And like you were saying, you know, like everybody who heard it loved and respected it for those innovative ways that he was doing his music. And now it's like the whole fan base that he created there is not the type of fan base who can get behind the music that he's doing now. At least
it's a different fan base.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
because now it's just a bunch of hipster white kids who want to wear this terrible fucking clothing, and they think this dude is like the greatest.
I mean, if it's cool to put pantyhose over your head and walk down the street, then by all means,
it is what it is, man. I just reached a point where it's not for me no more. I'm not checking for it no more. Like, I didn't even listen to those gospel albums he put out, and
honestly, they're pretty good. They're kind of weird, but Jesus is King is pretty good. It's really weird.
that makes sense.
I could do, as weird as it sounds, I could do without Kanye.
The beats,
like his production, the production's great. It always will be, like, cause it's Kanye, bro. But just his he gets very out there with vocals, but I still enjoyed listening to it.
I feel you. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think I'm the biggest Kanye fan here right now.
I can feel it. I can see that.
Out of the three of us.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to claim to be one right now.
Yeah, I'm totally.
I mean, my fandom for Kanye stopped really at like graduation.
He had great albums.
No, I mean, like after that, it's more of like song selection from his albums for me. But because of the way I listen to music, I'm like behind on like 10 years of music. So.
No, I feel you, man. And believe me, you're not missing much, bro. Like with Kanye shit, you know, there's moments that I've liked, and you know, besides Just a Fantasy, that to me that's his last classic. But everything after that has been really shaky. But I've been able to find moments that I love Kanye for. But
Watch the Throne is a fucking classic.
I mean, even that, bro. Like,
It's
to be honest
it's
with
a
you, I know
classic,
that's a narrative.
It is a classic.
That is what people say, and look, I don't argue that, but I will say that I don't love it as much as everybody else loves it. Like, I love moments on there.
The beats on, like,
I feel you, because it's widely heralded as a classic. But for me, even when it first came out, bro, I was not impressed.
Yeah.
Like, because you gotta understand, I'm listening to this from a childhood fan of Jay and Kanye.
Yeah,
So like this,
definitely.
the Jay and Kanye album is supposed to be like, which I guess it was still, but to me it was just supposed to be something different. And of course, by that time, Kanye has completely changed as an artist. So you can't really hold him up to fucking Blueprint standards. You know? But it is what it is. There's moments on there I absolutely love. So I'm not gonna say that it's trash.
The sampling and the way the album is put together
and it flows through is just not fair, dude.
I just really I don't love it as much as everybody else loves it, but there's some great moments on it for sure.
Yeah.
So whatever. I guess that's our update on Kanye.
Go away.
Go away.
Next.
You filled our words enough.
So this past Friday was actually pretty busy. Nothing that I absolutely loved, but there was quite a bit that came out. Leon Bridges, I really, really loved his 2018 project, but this project is it's cool. It might grow on me. Stone's Throw put another record out with this girl named Peyton. She's an R&B singer, but this is kind of more like synth poppy kind of leaning, but more like kind of experimental. I enjoyed it. It was cool.
Nice.
Gavin Turek, I first heard her on doing backgrounds on the first 3 Tuxedo albums. She put out a debut project that's pretty cool. It's kind of like more like poppy, you know. She sounds like she's trying to do some big stuff on there. Ransom and Big Ghost put out their new project. You know, Ransom just doing Ransom on there, bro. Fucking giving you the most ridiculous bars you could possibly think of. Very hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
Cool theme with Heavy. It's called Heavy Is the Head, so the theme is like kind of like King. I think he's got like some Game of Thrones stuff, like type of samples and shit in there. It's cool. You know, it didn't blow me away, but it was cool. And that was it for that. What else?
I haven't been digging recently, but didn't like West Side or Conway, or are they like releasing something again, or did they release something?
So I know that Conway is getting ready to put out his Shady debut, which he's been talking about for years.
Yeah.
I guess because the way he's been saying it is that it's on Shady at this point.
Right.
All the music and everything is turned in, so it's up to them whenever they want to put it out. So I know he just recently put up the track list for that, so I think that's coming soon. But what I've found with Griselda, man, is they're putting out so much music that it feels like every week we get something from at least one of them.
Definitely.
Whether it's a feature, a single, like whatever, even just a project, you know, because they specifically Conway will put out a project out of nowhere. You know, like I feel like Benny is a little more calculated with his projects, and West Side makes a little more of a big deal of his projects. But I feel like Conway is the type of dude where he'll make a project in a week and it's coming out the next week, and that's just what it is.
It's kind of overwhelming.
Sometimes it is, man. I definitely I see that kind of being a narrative right now. But I don't know, man. I feel like if I was them, I'd be doing the same shit.
Yeah,
bro.
why not?
Take advantage of
You're hot.
People are fiending for this. People want it. So fucking give it to them.
Definitely.
Just give it to them, man.
It definitely is. I feel like it's overwhelming, like at least from my perspective.
No, I feel you. I think for the casual fan, it's overwhelming. They can't keep up with all this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But I also think that can work in their favor because you can, if you cast out so many lines, you're gonna catch something. You know, so it's like you do all of this shit. There's gonna be some people who are buy into it. You know.
Definitely.
And I don't know, man. I think what I want next from them is another group album. You know, I think What Machine Gun Do in 2019 really kind of set that bar of them working as a chemistry group, you know? And I think what they're doing now is they're being real sporadic with their releases, trying to work with everybody, trying to work with the hottest producers and all the hottest artists. So I think when they finally get back to coming together, it's gonna be some new energy.
Definitely.
So I'm looking forward to that.
That Benny Hit Boy still slaps.
Oh yeah, I know you were definitely feeling that one, man.
That's up there for me.
I didn't love it as much as I loved, other Benny projects, but Benny's Benny, bro.
Yeah.
He's gonna do what he does all the time.
Hit Boy his name speaks for himself.
Yeah.
That's all this guy
Hits
does.
Boy.
That's all this guy does is produce hits.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, the dude, he's got it down pat, man.
It's not fair.
All right, so I just want to wrap up with some singles, basically, that I've been kind of bumping out. We got the new Brent Faiyaz and Drake record that's produced by the Neptunes. Real old school, nostalgic, early Neptunes vibes. That's my shit. I fucking Neptunes, Pharrell, Chad. I fucking worship those dudes. So to hear them still active, and that's not, they're really active right now. Like, they've been producing shit for everybody. Like, they were on Snow Allegra's album. They did that Scissor track, the Hit Different with Ty Dolla $ign. Like, they're working right now. So I don't know what they're up to, but I'm here for it.
They're
man.
working.
Chicano Batman put out they put out an A and B side.
What?
Kind of more of their new style, where they're kind of like leaning into a very experimental, psychedelic, almost electronic. I'm not gonna call it all the way electronic, but they're definitely been, especially with the last album, they were experimenting with this new sound.
Yeah.
Because the 2017 album was just like, to me, that just sounds like classic rock, like Santana, Malo, El Chicano.
Is that
like,
Freedom is Free?
Yeah, Azteca, like those are the vibes that album gives me. Like, to me, I can directly trace the lines from Freedom is Free to all of that shit,
Yeah.
And so the new shit is a little experimental. I don't love it as much as I love that one, but I'm still here for it because these guys are fucking incredible, man.
So that album is still in rotation constantly
Dude,
for me.
classic.
It's so good.
Absolute classic, man. 2017, me and Pat went to their concert in El Paso in Tricky Falls, man. And before I moved up here, that was the best show I ever been to, bro. Like, they were fucking incredible, dog. Like,
Nice.
the lead singer and the bassist would switch. So then the fucking bassist was over here singing lead, and the fucking lead singer was over here playing bass, and like.
Nice.
They did this old school traditional Spanish song. It's called El Sonidito, right? It's like they use this organ where it's like and then it kind of like drops and it's like and then, bro, when it would drop, there's nothing but Mexicans in the place, bro. This is El Paso, you feel me? So I'm not lying, bro. There was Mexicans flying off the ceiling when that shit was dropping, bro. Like, that was one of the most epic concert experiences I've ever had. Like, as far as crowd goes, because there's a lot of different variables that go into concerts, but as far as the crowd's perspective, dude, that was one of the greatest shows I've ever been to.
Awesome.
So that's why I always check for them, and I think they're coming in October. I think I bought tickets for that too.
Nice.
Can't remember, but I'll check it out. I don't know if you guys know who this dude is, but he's real on the indie scene. He's real big. I can't even describe his style, bro. Like, it's kind of like hip hop beats, but lo-fi, and like, it's kind of like alternative rock. The way he does his vocals, he soaks it in reverb and delay, and he's got a lot of synths, but he plays guitars and shit, and it's just, he does a lot of different styles, bro. Like, he'll have like a punk song, and then he'll have like a trap auto-tune song. And so that's kind of what this new single that he put out, it's called Prada. And I don't even know what he's saying, bro. You feel me? Like, that's how soaked these vocals are in reverb, delay, and auto-tune. But it's just the melody and the beat, it fucking does something for me, man. I'm like, I love it, bro. I just love it for some reason, man.
That's what it's about, man.
Of course, man. Well, you know what? Let me save this. Let me save that for last. Charlotte Dos Santos. I can't remember where she's from. I think she's from Portugal or something like that. She's a dope R&B artist. She just put out another single that's amazing. Emma V. She's an R&B artist from the UK. She just put out a dope song. It's called Tune. Silk Cinema. This is some super. The only reason I even heard about this was because Questlove posted this. I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're a group, a band, or what, but it's a girl who sings lead, and the beats are just like real funky and they're just instrumental type of upbeat type of funk. They got this new song out called I think it's called How to Find Perfection is what it's called, and it's just it's probably my favorite song of the year so far. Just beautiful catchy hook, beautiful background vocals, beautiful instrumentals.
That's my shit right
If you
there.
guys are out of everything that I've mentioned so far, I think that would be the number one thing I would recommend to people to check out if they haven't heard.
Nice.
The last thing that I want to mention, our boy man Jameson put out another single, the second single to the new album. It's called Love to You. He announced that the new album is coming September 3rd, called Heals Me. I think it's called Heals Me or Heal Me, something like that. Listen, man, Jameson, my favorite artist, bro.
Yeah.
We've mentioned him on the podcast already a couple times. He's my absolute favorite right now, doing it.
It's just on another level.
The songwriting, the production.
It's getting me excited, dude, to go see him later this year.
Me too, man. And this shit is just, it's just more, man. It's more. He's not really changing things. He's not really switching things up, man. He's just giving us what we want, and I think for now it's the best way to go, man.
Yeah.
The dude is. I don't know if you guys have heard it yet, but
I think I heard the first single.
He, with his new single, it's like 8 minutes long, and you know it's kind of like, I saw people kind of comparing it to Purple Rain, which it's not like that, but just the structure where it's like 3 minutes of song and then the next 5 minutes is just him fucking wilding on the guitar, bro. Like, it's literally a 5-minute solo, bro, and then also very layered with guitar harmonies and just background shit, bro. And I was like, wow, he's taking it there.
Wow.
You know? So I was really, really happy to see that. I'm really excited for the album. He's just done such a good job. I mean, since the Blue album, man, it's just been, he hasn't missed yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I don't think I've spoke about it on this podcast, but Live North Hollywood was where, for me, it was solidified. Like, because even then, it's not a new album. It's songs from It Is, but just reimagining it live. And when I and more specifically the video, right? Because they got it's like an hour-long video of the performance, you know, straight through. And also for what I was going through at the time, because that album is just sad, bro. It's so sad, you know. And I was just in a terrible place at that time, bro. And that was my soundtrack. That was my sad boy music, man. When I was feeling low and fucking just down and out, I'd throw that shit on, bro. And it would just kind of, you know, do it for me. So that was the moment where I was like, this dude's my favorite. He can do no wrong. I'm here for it, you know, and he's only delivered since then, man. I mean, Velvet is probably his best album, you know, even though I hold Live North Hollywood as my favorite, Velvet is probably the one, just because straight through, it's just fucking heat, straight through. And yeah, man, I don't know, you guys want to talk more about Jameson? Because I could sit here and
I mean,
gush
I
all day.
don't have a lot to say, but I was just kind of piggybacking off of what you said about your favorite show down at Tricky Falls until you moved up here and everything. And you all, I mean, you more than I think, Ian and I especially, have seen a lot of different artists here in Denver. We've seen artists together here or, you know, Albuquerque and stuff like that. But I gotta say, like, one of my favorite performances, and we saw Anderson .Paak at Red Rocks, which was an incredible concert, and I was doped up on wisdom teeth medication for that, right?
Yep.
And I still remember that just being an incredible show. However, I will still say that the Larimer Lounge Jameson concert, which I only caught the last half of.
Right. That was all you needed, though, honestly, man.
Oh, it was more than enough for me. Incredible show. The vibes for the crowd standpoint of view was right where I needed it to be. You know, coming off of a night shift at work, rolling into that, hearing some songs I've never heard before, hearing songs that I adore by Jameson. You know, and only catching half the show and it solidifying itself as like one of my favorite shows. it was an intimate crowd. It was a small show. It was maybe like 100 people in there. Yeah, 70 or something. It was a small. That was awesome.
Insane.
Which is why that's just like, I cannot wait for November for him to come back down here, and I'm gonna be not living in the state anymore at that time, but I'm gonna be here for that concert still.
Oh yeah.
I'm super excited for shit like that. I was just, Jameson, thank you, because you put me on to Jameson, and not only does his music hit like that, his live performances hit like that, but it's somehow right up all of our alleys musically.
It's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and we each look for, or at least, you know, initially on an open listen to a new song, no matter who it is, all of our ears kind of go to one aspect of the song first. You know, Ian might hear the production notes behind it, or the beat specifically, or something. I know that Anthony, one of his go-tos tone, you know, is like listening to the beat, the drums, because he's a drummer. You know, for me, it's melodic instrumentation. You know, it's guitar. You know, stuff like that. And Jameson can play the guitar. You know, and the thing that I love about his guitar playing too is that, you know, for me, I love not necessarily intricate stuff, but like I love filling space with notes. You know, and there's a lot of guitar is a nice tool to use when you want to go slow. It's, you know, there's opportunities to fill space, there's opportunities to leave space open. I feel like Jameson does that perfectly in his music. But he's got a lot of background, you know, in producing, you know, before he started putting his own music out and all that. Of course, obviously, it's always great. Like you said, he never misses, you know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go see him.
He's definitely a creative genius, man. Blows minds, that's for sure.
Well, and then he's not only musically talented, but it's the emotion he delivers through his music, which I've said before is like a direct translation from artist to listener is emotion. And that in my experience captures listeners and fans more than just look how fast I can rap, or, you know, look at how well I can shred the guitar, which is something that I've found victim to before in music. You know what I mean? It's trying so hard to be perfect, or to be good, or to be the best, or to show that I can play. You know, with that can like lose the concept of the emotion you want to translate. You know, the feeling you want to provide to the song.
Well, I remember him when he first walked on stage, and he looked wasted, like sweaty. I believe he might have been shirtless.
I think he was wearing a see-through button-up with open.
That's what. Yeah, it was completely open, sweat everywhere, stumbling out, and then as soon as it just, boom, the music starts, flawless.
Yeah,
flawless. So I feel like he lives that emotion. That's why he's able to give it to us.
Well, that's what I want as a fan of his, you know, as a listener.
He's
I'm
not
it.
Making it up.
I love that.
It's genuine emotion.
Yeah, genuine.
For sure.
Yeah, I love that. And
yeah, man. I mean, what I love the most about, I guess, just the overall emotion like you guys are talking about, is that he's not the most incredible vocalist. You know, he's not a fucking belter. You know, but I think the way he translates emotion through his voice, it just, you feel it. You know,
it's very good.
You feel pain or the joy, because sometimes it's joy too that he expresses, and I just think it's nice, man. I think he's underrated. I think he should be up there with the, you know, we should be hearing Jameson on the radio. You know, he should be at the award shows and shit. You know, but it is what it is, man. You know, he's on his journey, he's on his grind, he's got his discography, he's got his fans, and I think that's what matters the most at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, man. I'm excited to hear the album. I'm excited for just the future of us, the future of new music.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not gonna stop.
No, man.
Nope.
Not at all. You know, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So it's cool, man. It's been cool. I think we had another great episode, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for accompanying me and just making the episode.
I think it's fun. The Grain of Salt show is taking a fun evolution here.
Yeah.
And I like this aspect of the show where we get to sit down and talk speak our mind about stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We've had some great conversations, man, and I love hearing your guys' insight and your perspectives, because at the end of the day, we're three different people, man, and
Yeah.
I think what we bring to this and what we bring to making music and listening to music, I think it just brings three different worlds to just combine harmoniously, man. So thank you guys.
Hell yeah.
And you can
Appreciate
catch the harmonious blend of all those worlds in our discography from the 5D website.
Absolutely. 5D website, fifthdimensionalc.weebly.com. Don't forget the 80s Bandcamp tape exclusive is coming out Friday, August 6th. Impulse, I love the 80s.
Don't miss it.
Don't forget to check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/Zoetic5D. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Zoetic5D. You guys go ahead and give them your ats.
Instagram at Andy Chamberlain.
Nice.
It's super
You got
simple.
Gator _ got you here in the building.
That's it, man. Come and fuck with us, man. Check for some of our music. Check for our old music, and
Message us on Instagram if you got any inputs for the Green Salt Show or stuff like that.
We're open to all of it, man. Subscribe to my newsletter. It's coming out first of every month. We'll catch you guys next month. Peace and blessings. Be safe.
You already know.
Peace.
Peace. Later.
Whoa!